Hi, and welcome to Michigan Matters. Wayne County voters will be asked to vote on a ballot measure in next month's primary about regional transit and ending opt-out communities. So what's at stake? We'll talk about it and the importance of transit to Metro Detroit. Plus, Michigan consumers are paying among the highest auto insurance rates in the country. Two state legislators, Joe Tate and Jennifer Wirtz, are here to talk about new bills they're sponsoring aimed at easing the burden. Also joining them is Jim Sullivan of Cure Auto Insurance. It's a show about regional transit and insurance rates. Let's get started.
From CBS Detroit, this is Michigan Matters with Carol Kane. Michigan Matters is brought to you in part by Cure Auto Insurance.
And we're pleased to welcome State Representative Jennifer Wirtz, who's Republican from Quincy. We have Jim Sullivan of Cure Auto Insurance and State Representative Joe Tate, who is a Democrat from Detroit. It's great to see you all today. How is everybody doing?
Doing well.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about an issue that's near and dear to a lot of people. I know Eric Poe, your boss over at Cure, has been with us before talking about some of the auto insurance here. But we know that we have amongst the highest rates in the country here. And the question is what to do about it. And Representative Wirtz, you introduced a bill, House Bill 5886, not long ago, aiming to help lower auto insurance rates in some way. So talk about your bill and what is its goal.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. This is a great pleasure to be here and be able to really talk about the problem that's facing everyone in Michigan, and that's that auto insurance is a third to 50% higher in Michigan compared to other states. So as I came into the legislature last year, this was near and dear to my heart because I live 8 miles north of Indiana. And if I lived in Indiana, my rates would be a third of the cost as what they are in Michigan. So my bill really addresses that the optional giving options for PIP coverage, which other states allow for, and we in Michigan do not. And that is costing us at least a third more to, as I said, 50% more. So giving options would help lower our rates. It would make it affordable. And if you want to continue to have a higher rate coverage like we have currently in no fault, you could do that, but it would open the market up and it would bring the solution that other states have adopted. And so why aren't we doing that in Michigan?
And I know when you started talking about this, as you were looking at how to help accomplish this, you reached out across the aisle, to the other side of the aisle here with Joe Tate, and you have your House Bill 5887. What is it doing, and how are they working together?
Yeah. Thanks for having us, Carol.
Well, it's great to have you on, too.
Absolutely. So I think ultimately, we had auto insurance reform in 2019 that eliminated personal injury protection, unlimited benefits there. I think this package of legislation just continues to build off of that. My bill specifically is right now, consumers have to reset and ask and request again to move off of unlimited personal injury protection from their auto insurance provider. Yeah. This just allows them to do that into perpetuity of their coverage.
And Jim, I know you live and breathe this every single day in what you do for Cure. And why are our rates so high here? How do you break this down so someone watching this at home will say, gosh, this is real, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, well, again, thank you for having us. I think it's a combination of a few things. Number one is because of the mandatory no-fault coverage, how high those limits are at present. Additionally, I think there is a significant amount of fraud, waste, and abuse that exists in the system that is not adequately dealt with right now. And then there's an additional layer that not many folks realize is that when an insurance carrier is sued, there are a lot of litigation costs associated with that, specifically in the state of Michigan, when taking a look at other states.
I know that I've heard that there are more uninsured people here, and that's another part of this whole problem, right?
So there are a larger number of uninsured motorists in the state of Michigan. I think that is a component of that, but it also is reflective of the fact that folks are making difficult decisions, right, that because of the cost of auto insurance, when left with no other option, they are unfortunately choosing to drive illegally and go uninsured.
Yeah. And so, Representative Wirtz, how did the subject get on your radar? I mean, you mentioned about if, but it's like you've been paying these rates. How did this suddenly get on your radar?
Well, I think there are two factors. First, as I said, I live just north of Indiana, so hearing people moving into Michigan and complaining about the high cost of auto insurance. And secondly, last fall, we moved our oldest daughter to Oklahoma to teach school out there, and she bought my car, and she's 25 years younger than me, and she was able to insure that car in Oklahoma for $75 a month, and the same insurance, comparatively in Michigan, we were paying $150 a month.
Wow.
So half the rate. And so that's when I said, okay, I've talked about and complained about this for years. Now I'm in a position where I can help be a part of the solution. And so that's where we really started diving into this. And then I started to reach out to colleagues and reached out to Representative Tate. And I think, you know, I live in rural Michigan. He lives in the city suburbs of Detroit, but this is an issue across our state that we need to address.
I know. Well, we're just starting up here. There's more to talk about here, so keep right here. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Michigan Matters right after this. Welcome back to Michigan Matters. We're talking with State Representative Jennifer Warts, Jim Sullivan of Cure Auto Insurance, and State Representative Joe Tate about auto insurance. And Jim, explain to me, if you will, the Byzantine setup of claims and legal battles. It seems like it's more prohibitive and more complicated here in Michigan. Would that be accurate?
That would be accurate. Right, so in the state of Michigan, you know, the average, there's, for personal injury protection, right, for the medical benefits when someone's injured in an auto accident, right, there are the claims payments, but then there's also litigation costs that are associated if and when lawsuits are filed. And the way the structure is presently in Michigan, you can have one auto accident that results in 3, 5, 7, sometimes 10 to 12 separate distinct lawsuits from multiple different providers. And there's no mechanism to compel all those cases to be joined. And that results in us having to defend across 12 different lawsuits, and that just increased costs necessarily.
And I know this is very complicated stuff, but how did we get in the situation in Michigan? What led to us having this set up? Do you know?
Well, when the 2019 no-fault reform occurred, each medical provider gets what's referred to as their individual right of action against the insurer to recoup the benefits for whatever treatment they provided. So again, if you have an injured person who goes and sees 4 different doctors and gets prescription medication and does physical therapy, each one of those providers can pursue directly against the insurer.
And Representative Warts, when you were looking at this whole issue and saying, how can we accomplish this here? How do you see this going forth? What's the next step in the process? You guys have your bills here. Where does it go next? What's the next step in this?
Yeah, well, thank you. That's a great question. And obviously, this is a bill that we've introduced in the Michigan House. So the next step is that it will go to a committee hearing, so the insurance committee hearing. And I'm hopeful that after we return in August that we will be moving forward in that process. I've talked with the chair of that committee, and he seems very interested and supportive, and obviously we have bipartisan support, as Representative Tate is on one of the bills, and we've had several other stakeholders on his side of the aisle sign on as well on this issue. So we have the support bipartisanly, and I think I would just encourage small business owners and stakeholders around the state to reach out to their own representatives and ask them to support this measure.
There's also a third House bill, 588, with Representative Jenkins Arbo, which is an offshoot of this as well. Is it because why are all these things coming to a head right now?
Well, I think it comes down to, as we look at the state of situation that most of us are in Michigan with rising costs of everything. And, you know, the 2019 reforms were a step in the right direction, but we've continued to see inflation increases, cost of replacement and fixing vehicles increase. And so these are in line with what other states are doing. If 30 plus other states, this is a model following their structure, why aren't we allowing choices in Michigan as well, and to make auto insurance affordable for from new drivers to elderly?
And Representative Tate, you've been around for a while. You're hearing this conversation. You've got a bill in the mix. You're involved. How optimistic are you that something else will happen with this? Because it seems like this is always so divisive. Whenever anything involving auto insurance comes up, it's like everybody runs for the cover, if you will.
I'm very optimistic. I think 2019 was a watershed moment for us to get something done in a bipartisan fashion. Again, as Rep. Wertz mentioned, that's a step in the right direction, but I still have constituents that are reaching out to me with concerns about the high cost of auto insurance. And as Jim mentioned as well, too, there are choices that people are making now. So whether do you keep your lights on or do you pay your auto insurance? So those are decisions that we don't want.
Are you hearing from constituents as well? Is that another reason you took this up?
Yeah, I am. And actually, I just had a meeting yesterday with a group of women and retiree women. And the one said, for the first time in my life, I'm considering not paying my auto insurance bill because it's so high. That's not fair. We have to do better.
But that figures in, Jim, doesn't it, to this problem of then you have more people who are uninsured if they have an accident or something, or somebody hits them or something. I mean, this just keeps perpetuating itself, right?
Yes, it does. I mean, there's obviously legal ramifications for choosing to drive uninsured that are not good for the person that makes that choice. But, you know, insurance works best when everybody is in the market and contributing to the larger, more global pot of premiums so that the risk can then be shared amongst everybody.
You got about 30 seconds here. You get the last word. What's something that someone at home who may not be familiar with this needs to know about their auto insurance rates, what they need to do?
So I think first and foremost, it's important to recognize that if insurance rates continue to go up, and even for Cure, we've taken a number of insurance rate increases since we've gotten to market, that if we are the only option left to folks, right, and we outprice them, then there is no other option left. And I do think for the general consumer, just like someone can choose what house they want to buy, what car they want to drive, what type of clothes they want to purchase, right, give them that option to be able to purchase a lower amount of insurance coverage because that suits their lifestyle and their needs.
There's going to be more to say about this, obviously. We'll be watching this important conversation here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And keep it right here. We're back with more Michigan Matters right after this. Welcome back to Michigan Matters. We're now joined by Tiffany Gunter, who is the General Manager of the Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transportation, or SMART. It's a good reason they call it SMART. Easier to say here. It's great to have you back.
It's wonderful to be back. Thank you so much.
Well, regional transit and transit is such an important part of our community here. And for someone who may not be familiar with SMART, just, what's the thumbnail on what SMART is?
So SMART is the regional service provider. We work in collaboration with DDOT to provide services, and it's a layered service. So we provide fixed route bus along your major arterials. We provide paratransit for people with disabilities, community transit for seniors and students, and also microtransit, which is rideshare in certain specific areas where we are piloting a program to solve for first mile, last mile. We carry almost 8 million people a year, and combined with DDOT, it's about 23 million people a year.
So I think you're coming up on your one-year anniversary in this job, right?
It's been July of last year.
There we go. All right, we're into the 1 year now. So what surprised you most about this job?
There weren't a lot of surprises. Coming in and having the 3 years as the deputy and the chief operating officer, I had a pretty clear view of what I needed to do when I came on board. So it wasn't a ton of surprises. I think that the most interesting thing is that I found is that there are no breaks. So I used to think there was a thing called work-life balance, and there isn't. It's really work-life integration, and you just make it work. And so I find that when you have a job that you see wherever you go, you're always on. You're always concerned about making it better and optimizing. And so this past year has been full of us being in the garages, in the community, and in the industry, learning, bringing it back home, implementing, and really being focused. I spend a lot of time on buses. People don't believe me, but I ride buses several times a month.
Well, SMART, in fact, is really a lifeline for lots of folks in the community. It connects people to work, to school, and medical appointments, and entertainment, and all this sort of stuff. So who is actually riding amongst these? Is it 8 million passengers? Yes. Who are these 8 million people? What's the demographic of this group?
They are just a microcosm of the region itself. You've got people going to work. You've got students going to school. You've got people who just need to get to, like you said, entertainment venues to have a little bit of fun. They're going to Lions games. They're going to Pistons games. They're going to concerts. And we want to try to separate the two from the population. They can't be separated. They are one and the same. public transportation is really for everybody. It's especially, though, for people who don't have a vehicle as an alternative.
Yeah.
So when we look at seniors who choose not to drive, can't drive, choose not to drive, it gives them independence and access into the community that they built. So it's the population, and it's a microcosm. And when you're on a bus, you realize that these folks have somewhere to be. And usually when they get there, they're doing something important, and either getting their health care checked on or they're spending money in this economy.
You announced a program, I don't know how long, maybe it's been 3 months, on offering free bus rides to students in Wayne, Oakland, Macomb counties. How's that going?
So we launched that in May. Yes, it's been a couple of months, and it's going wonderful. We are in Q1, before we even launched that, we were up 30% over last year for ridership on Woodward and on Gratiot. We know that when these Q2 numbers come out, we believe we'll see another increase. I want to give you a specific example of how it's going. There's a young man, and I hope he doesn't mind me referencing him. He is wonderful. His name's Antonio. He drives the Gratiot line. He's a River Rouge High School student. He loves transit, and I've been on the bus with him a couple times now. And every time he sees us, he says, "Thank you for providing this. Before I had this, I just had to wait until a parent got off work to come pick us up," him, his sister, and his best friend. Now they're able to have that independence. He even got a job at a grocery store recently because he's able to move around this summer and use transit to do so.
You also, SMART received $25 million in a federal build grant for improvements along Gratiot Avenue, as you mentioned here. What has that meant for riders and also where SMART is heading?
Wow, that $25 million grant is a big deal for us. It's the largest discretionary grant we've received as an agency, and it just shows what you can leverage when you invest local dollars. The federal government's not going to pay for you to operate, but they will provide capital outlay. And so what we've been doing for the past year and a half is improving shelter locations, improving stops. We did a full-blown assessment. We're about halfway through the 5,000 locations that we have stop points at. And we've been pouring concrete everywhere. It's over 200 locations that have already been improved upon. This build grant that runs along Gratiot Avenue is $25 million for 23 miles of road. We're going to improve 19 shelters, and really from Antoine Street all the way up to 23 Mile, we have the opportunity to change the face of Gratiot and do some true transit-oriented development, do queue jumps and signal priority where you put sort of a transponder on a vehicle, and when it's approaching the light, it doesn't have to stop. It makes the bus travel time more competitive. The outlets that everybody demands that we have at our shelters, we will be able to insert those, do some level boarding, and really make the transit option a great one.
And we're going to take a quick break here and come back and talk further about transit and a transit measure that's on the August primary for Wayne County voters that will impact things a little bit for you. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more after this. Welcome back to Michigan Matters. We're now joined by Assad Turfe, who is the Deputy Wayne County Executive, who's joined Tiffany and me as we talk about transit. And it's great to have you with us.
Oh, thank you, Carol, for having us, and great to see you again today.
It's been a while. Well, I have to ask you, this is the political season, and Wayne County voters are being asked to vote on a transit measure on the primary, which deals with all this in regional transit. And you have been going around the county talking with constituents and organizations about this. So what does this transit measure do? What specifically is it asking for?
So a little over a couple of years ago, County Executive Evans put us on a mission, and that is to go all in and get rid of our opt-out.
And there's like 17 communities, right?
Yes, there's 70 communities that have opted out of regional transit. And for the first time in Wayne County's history, all the voters in Wayne County get to decide if we are either all in or all out. And we visited all 43 communities. It took a long time to do it. We did it in conjunction with SMART and the Regional Transit Authority just to listen to feedback from officials to prepare a plan so when we go to the voters, we have something that we could present to them. And then it took a little over a year, but this February we completed a plan that we shared with all the communities, and we're excited now to continue to share this message with voters so they know what they're getting.
Some critics have said that this is nothing more than just another tax, and how do you make the case that it's worth it?
Yeah, so it's the same millage rate that we have always levied for opt-in communities. We didn't go what Ann Arbor does. They levy 4 mills for their regional transit. This is an affordable tax. It's 0.98 mils. It comes out to about $8 a month for the average household in Wayne County. It was a transparent measure, and it's something that we know. This is the basic. This is ensuring that we have the right resources to cover our main lines and to be able to connect all 43 of our communities.
So for people who are not fans of this idea, I mean, is this what you've been doing, going out and trying to explain what it is that's happening here and the difference it will make? Because what's the advantage for people who are in those 17 communities? What's the advantage for them?
Yeah, the advantage is they're going to be connected to their neighbors. They're going to be connected to other resources that they currently don't have any connections. And, you know, if I could share a personal story, growing up in my household, my parents didn't own a car. And we were only limited to the opportunities that our feet took us to. And, you know, those opportunities were only existence to what was available in the 3-4 mile gap that could give us access to. What they're going to have access to is more opportunities. And, you know, County Executive Evans always says brilliance is evenly spread among all walks of life. What isn't evenly spread is opportunity. And this is going to create opportunities for them to get to their doctor's appointments, to go see family. And one thing that we learned more than anything about this, I used to really focus on the economic opportunities of transit. For every dollar you put in transit, you get $4 to $5 back in economic opportunities. But the one thing that we learned more than anything is this is a lifeline for seniors, people with disabilities, people with special needs, and it gives people the ability to live their full and able life.
And I know you're on the board of SMART as well, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Tiffany, how do you see this measure? What will it do as far as improving regional transit?
So, you know, Carol, I've worked in public transportation now for almost 22 years, and we've always had this fragmented system. So in 2022, when Oakland County went all in, there was resistance then too, because sometimes it's just the fear of the unknown, or change is difficult for folks. But what we see now is over 100% improvement in those same areas, because they didn't understand that this isn't just a bus. When we look at this opportunity, this is the most consequential question we've had on the ballot for transit, in my opinion, in the time that I've been working in this space, because it finally closes the gap. So you ever been puzzling and you get to the end of the puzzle and you've got like 6 pieces and you can't find them because your kids have taken them somewhere? That's how it's felt. And now we're absolutely at the point where we got the last pieces that we can fill in the puzzle. We get better economies of scale. We get full connectivity. Every hospital system can be touched. Every higher education institution can be touched. This changes the game. So when others are looking at this location, this region, for talent attraction and for industry, they can make the choice and say, absolutely, they have access. That is critically important, and they have the talent base, because we know we have the talent base here.
And I know I talked to Dave Coulter, Oakland County Executive, about this. You mentioned, I think it was 2022 is when the voters there, they got rid of their opt-out. He was effusive when I said, how has it gone there? The ridership is up like 100%. He said people are thrilled about having access to more of these lines and things that you're talking about. So how do you get people who are watching this? Maybe there's people in Wayne County right now looking, saying, I don't understand what this is asking or what this will do, the advantage for them.
Yeah, the advantage is it's going to connect them. And like you just mentioned, how do we know it's going to work? We know it's going to work because it worked in Oakland County. We've seen 200-300% increases on some of the busiest routes in Oakland County. And the key measure here is to educate the voters and get the information out there. This is a lifeline for many people. And when you think about attracting talent to come to this region, the first thing, whenever a major employer comes here to the region, the first thing you want to know is how are you going to get the employees to work? This is a way to get employees to work. And there was a time where, you know, younger generation was excited about getting a driver's license. Now you're starting to see a generation of individuals.
They don't want cars.
They don't want cars. And the reason they don't want cars is because they're expensive to own a car. The data that I read just recently, it's about $11,000 a year for a brand new car.
Oh, we won't get into the auto insurance costs, because we just got to that earlier in the show here, but so much to say about it. But I want to thank you both for being here, explaining a little bit more. I know it's on the ballot in August for Wayne County voters. We're going to be watching how that goes. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All righty. And thank you at home for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you next Sunday for a little bit more Michigan Matters.